The US and the European Union are very close to reaching a trade agreement. That's according to the EU Trade Commissioner Maros Sefcovic. His remarks come as the bloc's trade ministers gather in Brussels to discuss ways to head off a potential 30% tariff from 1st August, threatened by US President Donald Trump. Mr. Sefcovic says such levies would effectively shut transatlantic trade down. And for more on this, we're joined by Will Denselow, live from Brussels. Now, Will, the EU Trade Commissioner is confident of a good outcome from the trade talks with the US. But what is the basis of this optimism, and what are the outstanding issues that have yet to be resolved?
Well, Maros Sefcovic, as you rightly say, has expressed optimism, saying that this agreement might be close, but also expressed to reporters at the start of this meeting that there was regret and disappointment that the EU had received this letter, this dreaded letter from Washington, despite officials last week saying they were confident that the EU would not be among those that would receive them. When it comes to this meeting, well, Sefcovic says that he has more talks planned for today with US counterparts. When it comes to the sticking point in these negotiations, well, the Commissioner has been rather tight-lipped on what exactly those are. Sefcovic has, however, laid out 4 things that will be on the docket as trade ministers are convening here in the Belgian capital. He's providing an update on those negotiations with Washington, also providing more details on this potential rebalancing. So what exactly will be included and when the EU should act if indeed no trade deal is reached by that August 1st deadline. Of course, there are those countermeasures worth to the tune of roughly $25 billion that the EU could impose on Washington should no deal be reached. Also a key point, negotiating with like-minded nations, so potentially what the EU can do in coordination with the likes of the G7 to perhaps stand up to Washington going forward. Another key part of what's being addressed, diversifying trade significantly this weekend. After 9 years of negotiations, the EU and Indonesia have agreed a trade agreement in principle, and that should be considered significant considering these US trade tensions.
And Will, the US aside, how are the EU ministers planning to tackle the trade tensions with China?
Well, of course, we have this summit coming up next week, and it's not going well when it comes to preparations. We already know this summit has been whittled down to just a single day. And the EU just today has announced that it is imposing tariffs up to 36.1% on Chinese multi-layered wood flooring. This is, as they say, to do with anti-dumping concerns. They say this protects some 10,000 EU jobs. So more thorny relations and as a precursor to this trade, as it comes to this precursor to this EU-China summit. A number of issues on the docket. They'll be seeking resolution, and trade really is front and centre. But while there are plenty of disputes between the two, there are hopes there are still some areas of cooperation, climate and green policies chiefly among them.
Will, thank you so much for that report. That was Will Denselow speaking to us live from Brussels.